For 30 years, Johnny Carson ruled late-night TV. Cool, unshakable, always in control, or so we thought. But sometimes, even the king of late-night cracked. Sometimes the mask slipped, and what happened live on air was unforgettable. Tonight, we're counting down 12 of Johnny Carson's most outrageous, hilarious, and jaw-dropping moments. And trust me, number 8 stirred more mail than almost anything in Tonight Show history.
But that's indefinite.
All right. Right.
Number 1, Ed Ames and the Tomahawk Disaster. Picture this, April 1965. Actor Ed Ames, rugged star of the Frontier series Daniel Boone, steps onto Johnny's stage. He's there to show off a skill his TV character used all the time, tomahawk throwing. The setup is simple. Ames explains the technique. The crew rolls out a wooden cowboy silhouette as a target. Johnny watches politely. The audience leans in. Then Ames lets it fly. Thud. The tomahawk lands squarely in the wooden cowboy's crotch. For a moment, silence. Then the studio erupts into uncontrollable laughter. But here's where it gets legendary. Carson absolutely loses it. This wasn't the polished chuckle of a seasoned host. This was full-body laughter, tears streaming. Doubled over for nearly 3 full minutes, an eternity on live TV, Johnny was gone. Finally gasping for air, he manages the immortal line, "I didn't even know you were Jewish." That quip cemented the moment as late-night gold, and decades later, Carson himself admitted it was one of the hardest he had ever laughed on television.
Carson's cigarette box! Oh, I broke his box! I broke Carson's cigarette box!
Number 2, Don Rickles and the Broken Box.
Johnny Carson had routines, rituals. Even his desk setup mattered. And right in the middle sat his prized wooden cigarette box. October 1973. Don Rickles, the king of insult comedy, is guest hosting The Tonight
Show. Somehow, in all the chaos, the box gets broken. The next night, Carson returns, holds up the busted box, and vows retribution. The audience laughs, but they have no idea what's coming. Fast forward. Months later, Carson learns Rickles is filming his sitcom, CPO Sharky, on the next soundstage. During a Tonight Show commercial break, Johnny makes a split-second decision. Let's go get him! With cameras in tow, Carson storms across the NBC lot and barges onto Rickles' live set. The sitcom audience is stunned. The actors freeze mid-scene, and there's Rickles in his Navy uniform, looking like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. "You broke my cigarette box!" Carson roars. Rickles stammers, pleading, begging to stay friends. The audience is in hysterics. It was raw, unscripted chaos, and proof that Carson and Rickles' friendship was one of the most unpredictable forces in television.
Here's Bette Midler.
Well, you know, when they asked me to
Bette Midler makes Johnny cry. May 1992. Carson's retirement is just days away. The Tonight Show is winding down after 30 iconic years. Robin Williams brings the energy. Bette Midler brings the heart. After joking and singing with Johnny, she suddenly quiets the room. She announces she has something special for him. Then she begins, "One for my baby and one more for the road." But here's the twist. She doesn't sing to the crowd. She sings directly to Johnny. The lyrics about last calls and goodbyes hit with brutal intimacy. The camera catches it. Johnny's composure cracking, eyes red, tears forming. For decades, he had been the untouchable host, always witty, always in control. Now he was just a man saying goodbye. When she finishes, Johnny leans in, kisses her hand, looks into the camera and whispers, "I can't top that." And that was it. A host who rarely let his guard down gave America a glimpse of his most human moment. Millions watching at home felt it too.
He's just getting comfortable.
Well, I can't sit here the rest. I can't sit and talk to people with an animal on my head. Was he spitting? Was that?
Number 4, Monkey on His Head. Animal segments on Carson's show were always unpredictable, but in 1979, things went from quirky to iconic. Animal handler Joanne Steele brings out a tiny capuchin monkey. It sits sweetly on her arm while she explains its habits. Johnny leans in, listening. The audience relaxes, and then, boom! The monkey launches straight onto Carson's carefully coiffed head. The audience screams with laughter. Carson freezes, deadpan. No panic, no yelling. Just sitting there, letting the monkey claw through his famous hair. And here's the thing. Johnny's hair was sacred. Always perfect. Always in place. To see it destroyed by a monkey? Comedy gold. Finally, the handler retrieves the little troublemaker. Carson looks into the camera, his hair a total disaster, and delivers the line. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I prefer cats. The crowd roars. The clip becomes one of the most requested in Tonight Show history, because Johnny didn't fight the chaos. He let it happen, and that was his secret weapon.
Particular interest of mine, and I'm very proud to present this gentleman's amazing illusions. Would you welcome the great Flydini?
Number 5, Steve Martin's absurd magic act. The year is 1980. Steve Martin is already a comedy rock star. White suit, banjo, balloon animals, the works. But on this night, he brings something even stranger. His alter ego, the great Flydini. Carson introduces him like a serious magician. The lights dim. The audience leans in. Then Martin reaches into his fly and pulls out a handkerchief, then another, then a live phone. The audience loses it. Carson stares, mouth open. What is happening? One by one, absurd props keep coming out. Silverware, an egg, a baby's doll hand waving. The brilliance? Martin never cracks. He sells it with deadly seriousness like Houdini reincarnated. Carson, meanwhile, is fighting for air. He leans back in his chair, doubled over. At one point, he literally buries his face in his hands. This wasn't a skit. It wasn't rehearsed banter. It was pure absurdist comedy landing harder than anyone expected. And the best part? Martin once admitted he designed the great Flydini just to see if he could break Johnny Carson. Mission accomplished.
Believe that comedy can heal you. Praise the power.
Praise the Jesus.
And Sears had a sale this furniture with.
Number 6, Robin Williams Unleashed. Robin Williams wasn't a Tonight Show guest. He was a hurricane. The moment he sat down, he was already standing up again, bouncing across the stage, mugging to the crowd, flipping into accents without warning. Carson tries to ask a simple question. Robin cuts him off with a Shakespearean soliloquy, then pivots into a Scottish golfer impression, then drops to the floor like a breakdancer. The audience is wheezing. The cameramen can barely keep up. Most hosts would panic. Try to reel Robin in. Not Carson. Johnny sits back, smiling, watching. Every so often, he leans into the mic and drops a perfectly timed quip that doubles the laughter. It's a masterclass. Carson knows that sometimes the best way to host is to stop hosting. Let the chaos reign. Let Robin fly. And that decision turned every Williams appearance into late-night legend. Carson later admitted, "With Robin, I was just happy to keep my seat."
Marco Mangananzo was hurt.
Marco Mangananzo.
Fambino Bombazzo. 2 bullets in the head Thursday.
Number 7, Don Rickles roasts Frank Sinatra 1. Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board, joins Carson on the couch. For most guests, this is sacred ground. Nobody pokes Sinatra. Nobody. 2. Enter Don Rickles. Within seconds, he's tearing into Frank like it's open season. Look at him, the big star, sitting here like a hood ornament. The crowd gasps. Carson's face tightens. Is this going too far? But Sinatra chuckles. Rickles presses harder. You don't scare me, Frank. What are you gonna do, send a couple of guys over to my house? Now Sinatra is laughing. Genuinely laughing. The audience roars. Carson exhales in relief. This was the beauty of Rickles. He did what no one else dared. He took the most intimidating man in Hollywood and made him look human. And in the process, he made Carson's stage feel like the safest and most dangerous place on television.
Have you always been rather zoptic? What would they call that where you grew up in Tennessee?
I can't say.
Healthy?
Healthy, I guess.
Yeah.
Bosomy.
Bosomy?
Yeah, I guess that'd be what they'd say. But
Number 8. Dolly Parton and the infamous Line 1. Dolly Parton, then just cementing her status as a superstar, sits across from Johnny Carson. She's radiant, funny, charming. And Carson, ever the gentleman, is clearly smitten. 2. The conversation flows. The audience is warm. Then Johnny drops the line heard around America. I'd give a year of my life to peek under that blouse. The crowd gasps. Some laugh. Some don't know how to react. Dolly? She bursts into laughter, flashing that signature smile. But outside Studio 6B, the fallout is immediate. NBC is flooded with letters. Some viewers call it the funniest line they've ever heard. Others call it outrageous, even indecent. The network braces for scandal. Carson shrugs it off. Dolly later admitted she wasn't offended. She thought it was pure Johnny, bold, cheeky, but ultimately harmless. And the controversy only boosted her popularity. Looking back, it's a line that could never survive today's late-night standards. But in 1977, it became one of The Tonight Show's most infamous, talked-about moments.
Let me ask you something. What was the guy's name in Vegas?
Who Gao?
Who Gao?
Yeah.
He's got a better job than you. He only works 2 hours a week.
Number 9, Bob Hope bombs. For decades, Bob Hope was America's comedian. He owned radio, movies, USO tours, and yes, late-night appearances. But by the 1980s, times were changing. Comedy was sharper, more natural, and Bob, he was stuck in the past. On The Tonight Show, his once legendary charm had faded into stiff one-liners read straight off cue cards. He'd rattle through jokes like a robot, barely listening to Carson or the audience. Carson tried to play along, but you could see it. The tight smile, the forced nods, the little sighs between laughs. Behind the curtain, Johnny vented to his writers. Hope doesn't have conversations. He does monologues. He doesn't listen. It was awkward. Painful even. The king of American comedy looking lost on the king of late-night stage. And Johnny, always respectful of legends, never cut him down. He let Bob have the spotlight, even when the audience wasn't laughing. That's what made it powerful. It wasn't funny. It was sobering. A reminder that even icons can outlive their eras.
And there are nights when I think I feel that stare, and I reach out my hand to stroke his hair, and he's not there.
Number 10. Jimmy Stewart's poem about his dog. 1. Jimmy Stewart, the gentle Hollywood icon, sits across from Carson. He's there to promote a book of poetry. Harmless, light, easy. Or so everyone thinks. 2. Stewart begins reading a poem called Beau. At first it's sweet. The story of his golden retriever. A companion. A buddy. The audience smiles politely. But then the tone shifts. Stewart's voice cracks as he recalls the dog's death. The loneliness. The emptiness of the house without him. The audience grows quiet. Carson leans forward, his usual smirk gone. By the final lines, Stewart himself is barely holding it together. When he finishes, Carson isn't laughing. He's not ready with a quip. He's silent, his eyes wet. The king of late night, usually untouchable, is moved beyond words. That night, America saw something rare. Two Hollywood legends stripped down to raw humanity. No jokes, no punchlines, just grief and love for a dog that meant the world. It's still remembered as one of the most tender, heartbreaking moments in Carson's 30 years.
This is, right.
It's a heavy snake. What does it weigh, about 50, 60 pounds?
She weighs about, yeah, she weighs.
Number 11, The Snake Escapes. Animal expert Joan Embery was practically family on The Tonight Show. She always brought creatures to delight and terrify Johnny. But one night in the 1970s, things got wild. She introduces a massive python. Johnny leans back, clearly uncomfortable, but playing it cool. Then the python moves, slowly, toward Johnny, and before anyone can react, it slithers onto his desk. Carson bolts upright. His chair flies backward. The audience shrieks with laughter. The camera zooms on the snake, tongue flickering inches from where Johnny had been sitting. Joan scrambles to control the beast. Carson, standing at a safe distance, straightens his tie, adjusts his suit, and drops the line that kills. "Somebody better check my pants." The audience roars. What could have been a disaster? A panicked host running from set instead became pure comedy because Johnny leaned into the fear. He made himself the punchline, and once again, chaos became one of his most replayed moments.
I was a little bit late tonight. I'm sorry if I upset anybody here. I had an unusual incident in traffic. I either ran over a sheep or I ran over a small man wearing a sheepskin coat.
Number 12, George Carlin. Outsmarts the censors. By the 1980s, George Carlin was already a legend and a troublemaker. He pushed boundaries, challenged authority, and famously battled the FCC over his 7 dirty words. So when he sat down with Johnny in 1983, the audience wondered, would he behave? Of course not. Mid-interview, Carlin slips in a sly wordplay, the kind that sounded innocent on paper, but carried a razor-sharp double meaning. The audience caught it instantly. They laughed. The censors? Too slow. It slipped through live. Carson's reaction made the moment. He doesn't scold, doesn't panic. Instead, he leans back, smirks knowingly at the audience, and lets the laugh ride. The brilliance was in the silence. Johnny's grin told viewers, yes, I got it. You got it. NBC didn't. It was Carson's quiet rebellion, his unspoken approval of Carlin's mischief, proof that even the king of mainstream TV respected a fellow rule-breaker. From uncontrollable laughter, to shocking comments, to tears no one saw coming. Johnny Carson proved one thing again and again: the best TV moments aren't scripted. They're the ones nobody can predict. Which of these Carson moments do you think was the wildest? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable celebrity moments.